Well, the high-pitched battle between U.S. President Donald Trump and the prestigious Harvard University has reached a crescendo. In the latest, the university has sued Trump for freezing federal grants worth billions of dollars and what it said was arbitrary and unlawful. It all started when last week Harvard rejected a list of demands that the Trump administration had put forth, claiming that it would undermine its independence. In a lawsuit filed in federal court in Boston, Harvard University said that it seeks to halt a federal freeze on more than $2.2 billion in grants, which was put into effect after the institution said it would not conform to the Trump administration's demands to limit activism on campus. Earlier this month, in a letter sent to Harvard, the Trump administration had called for broad government and leadership reforms at the university, as well as changes to its admission policies. Not just that, it also demanded that the university audit views of diversity on campus and also stop recognizing some student clubs. In response to all these demands, Harvard president said that the university would not bend to the government's demands. And what happened hours later is anybody's guess. The government froze billions of dollars in federal funding. This is huge, as the money from the federal government is being used for cutting-edge research conducted in the university in areas of science, medicine and engineering. In 2023, almost $150 million a year came from federal agencies to Harvard, including the intelligence community, NASA, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This essentially means that despite the fact that Harvard makes a chunk of money from research grants, donations and tuition fees every year, it is reliant upon the federal government as well for funding some of its major programs. And the freezing of funds directly impact all these areas. Besides threatening to strip the university of its tax-exempt status, Trump has also threatened to roll back enrollment of foreign students. The Trump administration says that the actions are against anti-Semitism and also ideological bias. It is pointing out to the demonstrations which took place at these universities. Well, Harvard is America's oldest institution of higher education, arguably its wealthiest too. And as Harvard and Trump face off in one of the most high-stakes legal battles in recent times, who wins and who loses? That we'll have to wait and watch. In other news, Saudi Arabia is deporting nearly 5,000 beggars from its country, and all of them are from one country, Pakistan. Last year, we reported on how Pakistan's export of beggars had caused issues between Riyadh and Islamabad. Time and again, Riyadh even warned Pakistan to stop sending beggars to the country. Well, now, they have started the procedure of deporting them. According to Pakistan's Daily Dawn newspaper, at least 4,700 beggars have been deported from Saudi Arabia. The Federal Minister for Defence in Pakistan, Khwaja Muhammad Asif, has said that there are around 22 million beggars in Pakistan who earn at least rupees $42 billion annually. He said that the increasing numbers are damaging the country's image abroad. He said this while speaking to members of the Pakistan Ready-Made Garments Manufacturer and Exporters Association in his hometown of Sialkot on Saturday. He shared recent figures regarding the deportation of beggars from various West Asian countries, indicating that Saudi had deported at least 4,700 Pakistani beggars, although he did not specify the time frame. Well, Pakistan's Federal Investigation Agency, FIA, had previously briefed a parliamentary body last year that Saudi deported 4,000 beggars in the last 3 years ending in 2024. Now, Saudi Arabia's anti-begging regulations are designed to deter individuals from begging or participating in begging networks. Riyadh even imposes strict penalties in the form of fines and imprisonment. Foreign individuals involved in begging may face deportation after serving their sentences. The problem of Pakistani beggars in Saudi Arabia has now become a serious issue in recent times. According to reports, many Pakistani citizens travel to cities like Mecca, Medina and Jeddah, often under the guise of going on a pilgrimage, only then to beg on the streets. Due to tough economic conditions and inflation in Pakistan, this has become a common practice. Reports now indicate that a large number of people caught pickpocketing in Mecca's Grand Mosque are Pakistanis. Now, it's important to remember that under Saudi law, begging is illegal and can lead to imprisonment for up to 6 months and fines of up to 50,000 riyals. As a result, many Pakistani beggars find themselves in Saudi jails. According to reports, a notable number of Pakistanis living abroad are involved in begging, not just in Saudi Arabia, but also in other West Asian countries like the UAE and Iraq. In September 2023, 16 beggars were arrested at the airport in Karachi while trying to board a flight to Jeddah under false pretenses as pilgrims. The situation has caused the Saudi government to warn Pakistan that if they cannot control the issue, if Islamabad cannot control this issue of beggars, it could lead to stricter visa regulations for genuine travelers, especially those wanting to go for Umrah and Hajj. In response, Pakistan has promised to take action against beggars trying to leave for Saudi Arabia and to start a nationwide crackdown on organized begging. According to Dawn, professional beggars primarily from Pakistan's Punjab, Karachi and Sindh have been deported from various West Asian countries recently. So what happens to them upon their return? According to the Dawn report, their names are added to the FIA Immigration's Passport Control List or PCI to restrict their travel outside. Well, it was a night of terror in Ukraine's Odessa. The Black Sea port city was rocked by a massive overnight drone assault launched by the Russian forces. Such was the scale of the attack that the drone attack ignited fires, destroyed homes and forced emergency crew into frantic rescue operations. As the war grinds on, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has doubled down on his appeal for talks. He has urged Moscow to agree to a ceasefire to halt its onslaught on civilians. But even though the Kremlin has said that it is willing to discuss that, it says that there are no concrete plans for talks with Ukraine. The question being, what does all this mean for the future of the war? Here's what has happened today. Russia smashed Odessa with drones. Local officials say that the attack damaged many residential buildings. At least 3 people were reported injured. Odessa's ports have long been strategic and frequent targets in the war, but it was not just Odessa. Russian attacks across Ukraine over the last 24 hours have reportedly killed 5 civilians. That's what Ukrainian officials say. These are deaths from attacks in villages in the Kharkiv and other regions and the Kherson regions. According to the governor of Kherson, Russia has attacked around 36 settlements across the region over the last 24 hours. The attacks came a day after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed readiness for talks on an accord that could perhaps halt attacks on civilian targets.
Ukraine maintains its proposal not to strike at least civilian infrastructure, and we are expecting a clear response from Moscow. We are ready for any conversation about how to achieve this. There is an obvious, simplest, and most reliable path to stop missile and long-range drone strikes, which would automatically ensure the protection of all civilian infrastructure. A ceasefire, real and lasting, must be the first step toward a reliable and enduring peace.
Zelensky has been under pressure from the US to agree to some sort of agreement. He's even been warned of potential withdrawal of American support if that does not happen. He also announced that Ukraine will hold peace talks with the United Kingdom, France and the United States in London on Wednesday. He said that the London talks have one primary task: to push for an unconditional ceasefire. What was Kremlin's response to all of this? Well, on Tuesday, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed that Russia is open to a diplomatic solution to the crisis, but stopped short of giving a time frame to it. And that fits in with what the Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday. Speaking to Russian state TV, Putin said, and I quote him here, "We have always talked about this, that we have a positive attitude towards any peace initiatives. We hope that representatives of the Kyiv regime will feel the same way." This is perhaps the first time that Putin has said he is open to bilateral talks with Ukraine. Previously, he set out conditions for it as well, one of which was the removal of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for talks to happen. Now, it seems that Russia is ready to consider Zelensky's proposal. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has described the talks as a complex topic that Putin was ready to discuss. However, he has also told reporters that there were no concrete plans at the moment for talks between Russia and Ukraine. As far as the US is concerned, earlier this week on Sunday, US President Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social that he hoped Russia and Ukraine would make a deal this week. In response, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said efforts aimed at finding a peaceful solution to the war must be conducted privately. He also welcomed the US statement indicating it does not support Ukraine's accession to NATO. Well, both the sides, both Moscow and Kiev, are under pressure to demonstrate progress towards ending the war. Washington has publicly expressed frustration in trying to get both the sides to agree. We saw it in the way Trump threatened just last week to abandon attempts altogether, and then in U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's statement last week, in which he said to end American efforts to stop the Ukraine war within days if there are no signs of progress. In the course of the conflict, civilians have been killed in both Ukraine and Russia, far more on the Ukrainian side. Russia has frequently said it is open to talks with Ukraine, but that Kiev made that legally impossible under a 2022 Zelensky decree. The Kremlin has said that if Ukraine wanted to talk, then it should take steps to legally clear the obstacles to such contacts. The situation continues to evolve, but the world is watching closely, hopeful that dialogue could pave the way for a resolution in a war that has been raging for more than 3 years. The coming days will reveal much on the levels of genuine willingness to end the war.